All right, today we are live with Will Rice. Will Rice is the SEO and marketing manager at MeasureMinds Group. MeasureMinds is a digital first agency assisting their clients in growth through data intelligence, insight, and analysis. Will has been with MeasureMinds for the past 3 years, going on to 4 years. So, very exciting to chat to him about career development and career progression within MeasureMinds as well, team management, and all fun things. This is Will's first webinar slash podcast, so we're very excited to have him on today. Thank you so much, Will, for choosing us. And yeah, thanks for coming on.
That's all right.
Just to kick things off, we wanted to chat a little bit about your team dynamic and how your setup and your structure is within MeasureMinds. And is it remote? Is it hybrid? And how do you guys sort of prioritize communication?
Yeah, so from the start, I started with MeasureMinds when the company first came about. It started with me, Phil, and a few others a few years ago, and it was completely remote, and it still is today. We're a completely digital agency. So there's pros and cons to that, in my opinion. But one of the best things, like one of the best pros, is the fact that you just have a much wider and much more diverse talent pool. Instead of being confined to the UK, we now have people like all over the world, quite a multilingual team, and some like really amazing people on board. So like we've got, Artem, who's like an amazing developer. And he's all over the world at the moment. He goes to like Thailand, Germany, wherever. We've got Gab, who's in Croatia. We have somebody starting in Poland in a few days' time. So we're completely remote, and it's been that way since the start. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon, because getting everybody in one place would be a proper pain in the butt, so we're not going to go for that. But that's how we're set up at the moment. As for my team, I do like the SEO kind of stuff. So we're a digital analytics agency, but we've started like an SEO offering as well, because that's what my like bread and butter is. And so I manage like a team of writers, a team of editors, and like people that will help me on the SEO side of things. Also, I said it was my first webinar, and it is my first webinar where I'm like the guest on, but we actually run a lot of our own events as well. So I have people helping me out with those events as well, which are like quite a big part of what we do at the moment, especially.
Brilliant. And well, you mentioned that there's obviously pros and cons of working remote. What are the sort of the cons in your eyes, and how do you guys sort of minimize their effect on the business?
The cons, for me, it's just the communication. So I mean, we still have like really great communication within our team, but it's kind of the, as any remote working team or even a hybrid team would know, it's about those snappy answers that like you really need an answer now, and sometimes you can't always get that. But I think that's just kind of a shift that you've got to make as people have shifted over to remote working, is like just being a bit more attentive to those, like we use Slack, so being a bit more attentive to Slack channels. I used to see people turning off the notifications. Don't do that. I don't think that's a very good idea. So just making sure that you are actually being a bit more attentive, and also allowing people to, when they can't get a snappy answer, allowing them to feel like they're in a position where they can take the initiative, and there's not going to be any repercussions from that. Otherwise, people they're just going to freeze and not know what to do.
Brilliant. Yeah, and with everybody being sort of all over the world, do you put a focus on culture, or is that something that, because they have so much freedom with regard to the time zones and stuff, that it's sort of put on the back burner?
In like culture is in like just people,
Just
you
sort of
know,
team culture as, company culture.
yeah. So no, we do try, and people are in different time zones. Generally, we try stick to roughly the UK, but obviously people that are in like Thailand are not going to be able to do that. So they have like slightly different zones, but we try and cover overlap somewhere in the day. But also, no, we don't. It's not like we don't do anything together or anything like that. One of my favourite days of the working year is when we go and we just have like a games day. We do it a few times a year, to be honest, and we all download Steam, get a load of games on there, and then we just play games all day. It's so funny.
That's
Um, but yeah, do stuff like that. Also, like just having calls with each other, because ultimately your working life is a lot of your life. So really, you want to spend that with people that you enjoy the company of, and talking to people. It's the best way to like kind of build that kind of connection. So I'm on the phone quite a lot with my team, and just checking in and making sure they're all right, or trying to get feedback from them on stuff, and just having a general chit chat, to be honest.
brilliant.
I wanted to just backtrack a little bit to the inception of MeasureMinds. I'd imagine it was just before lockdown that MeasureMinds had started. Is that correct?
Oh gosh, I think it was either no, I think it was during lockdown actually.
During lockdown.
Yeah,
Okay.
the first one maybe.
So,
Um,
so
yeah,
how did you sort of, with your team then, identify areas? I mean, during lockdown is a very like difficult time to sort of emphasize growth within a company.
yeah.
When did you get to points where you realized that you needed to grow out the team? And yeah, decide that those were the right times to hire, especially with just the impact of lockdown.
Yeah, well, God, first of all, I'm so glad that we're out of that. What a horrible time that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually on my own for that.
Mm,
I think I lost the plot at one point, but
Were you on the
uh,
canal?
yeah, on the canal, yeah. So yeah, I lived on a boat round the corner from where I am now, and I was alone on that. Well, it's not a little boat, but I was alone on that boat. Fortunately, the community around there were really nice, but yeah, strange time that was.
mm,
But yeah, funnily enough, it it was a strange time for businesses like across the board, but with how our agency is, it was actually a really busy time for us. So we had work coming out of our ears basically because everybody wanted to move to digital. People needed analytics. A lot of businesses that had never really come across analytics before that
mm,
were like now transitioning to, an online platform, and we're like, well, what are we meant to do?
mm,
All these questions started coming in from people, and yeah, it was actually really busy for us. But that just meant that we just needed to hire people, like expand the team out straight away. It wasn't even really a question
mm,
of like whether we do it. We kind of like had to.
mm,
Um, and going back to what I was saying earlier about being a completely remote agency, turns out that was actually kind of easy, well, easier, given that our talent pool had now expanded to the entire globe instead of just the UK, because before that we were a UK based agency. So yeah.
mm. Okay.
And I noticed on your website that you guys obviously work with quite cool clients as well, quite big clients, like I think it was like ITV, National Geographic, and stuff like that. Um, was that always the goal to target those sort of bigger clients, or how did that sort of come about? Is there a certain sort of style or approach that you took to land those clients?
So that's just always been the way that we've operated. I mean, so I came to work with Phil in 2018, and that was at a different agency that he co-founded. And back then they were targeting enterprises as well. I think basically Phil's got a lot of experience in like marketing. He's been doing it for years and years and years. And as a result, I think he's worked at some pretty big agencies and have, had some pretty big clients as a result of that. So, he basically just continued working with enterprises, because I'm not sure it's because of what he knows. I'm sure he's like very, he can do a diverse set of things, but I think that's just something that he preferred to do, is enterprises. Plus, enterprises is where quite a lot of the money is as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's obviously a driving factor. How we target those, I think how we target those is based on like the content that we produce, really. So for example, for me, I've just produced, well, I'm in the process of producing like a whole enterprise SEO like suite. So lots of articles all targeting enterprise SEO, and that's because like really it's just what we're after in the first place. And that, if we're targeting those kind of keywords, things like that, then we're going to drive that kind of traffic. Also, when we do our events as well, we kind of target the enterprise level clients for our events. Making yourself look like a thought leader really is a big way of like landing some, more experienced, well, not more experienced, but bigger clients, because what they're looking at is like when they're trying to get budget for marketing, they have to go to another person within their team and then justify taking that budget out. And the best way to quickly show that to the finance guy is by saying, look, these people clearly have a lot of experience doing this, because they write about this stuff all the time. They talk about this stuff all the time. I mean, we host conferences on analytics, so we're clearly quite active in the space. Yeah, I think just being a thought leader would help. Oh, another thing that we do is we create quite a lot of apps as well. That's been really good for lead gen, because you can grab the email from a user, and also like it's a double-edged sword, because it also you're showing like you're active in that space, and that you're doing things, and you know your stuff basically.
Brilliant.
Awesome. Very interesting. Just in the within the theme of thought leadership, when you're looking to build out your team below you, how do you identify sort of the A players that you're looking for within your team? And when you're looking to hire, are there any specific qualities that stand out to you, even moving forward, if you were to hire junior SEOs below you? Yeah, and is there anything that you could maybe give to our junior SEOs that are watching to work on this year?
So I might flip that question on its head a little bit, because I think everybody is an A player really, but you just have to find what their strengths are. And like I'm quite a firm believer that everybody is good at something. And if they, if you can find what they're passionate about, they'll generally work quite hard and be quite invested in doing that. So I mean, skills that I look out for, or it's more soft skills that I look out for with that kind of stuff, because I mean, so my right hand guy at the moment is he's called Rizal. He's the digital marketing executive. I hired him a couple of years ago. Rizal got in touch and was just like, I'm learning, it's good to, it was via LinkedIn. He connected with me and was just saying, oh, it's good to connect. Like, have you got any tips on, how I could be a digital marketer? What things do you think I need to learn? Because one day I'd eventually, I'd love to work for you, love to work for MeasureMinds. So what would you, pretty much the question you're asking me now is what would you recommend me do? And I was like, well, I mean, I need help with SEO. So I would want somebody that's, all right at SEO, but ultimately, I also do a lot of stuff for the business in general, because I was one of the first employees here. So somebody that can be a bit, have a bit of a diverse skill range as well. So, I just basically said to him what I needed. I didn't tell him to do anything as a result of that, but then he came back to me in a few days' time and he said, oh, I've just completed a course on A, B, and C. And I was like, but wow, I didn't ask you to do that. But it's like, yeah, I just completed an SEO course and showed me a certification for it and everything. And I was like, well, I can definitely see that you're keen. So let's get you on board and let's see, what you're about. And he's been, 2 years later, I think it's over 2 years later now. He's still working with us and he's so amazing, very diverse skill set. But I think, what I would say to young, people getting into SEO is just showing that you're keen. I think that's with any job, really. Just show that you're keen, not overbearing, but be prepared to, ask to learn from people. That was a great sign for me, is somebody that was wanting to learn. So basically I would say just a long way of saying that, but an eagerness to learn would be the biggest thing for me. And then with that, the reason why I think that is because, like I say about everybody is an A player. If somebody's really eager to learn about something, they're already showing the first signs of understanding what they're good at, and then getting them to do that, for the business.
Sorry, Darius.
No, I was just going to say, well, obviously with the team being remote and people having such diverse skill sets, even you doing stuff towards the wider business as well, not just the SEO and the marketing. How do you sort of make sure that you're delegating tasks effectively and that everybody's still sort of keeping that productivity levels high across the sort of the globe, as you said?
Delegating tasks effectively. So yeah, I mean, really, again, it comes back to finding what people are good at. I really try and avoid getting people to work on things that they don't enjoy, because it's just going to make them miserable. And people that, really, you want to find what skills people are good at, then they'll excel at that and get the job done better and faster. So yeah, it's just finding. One thing we do when somebody comes on, when we're onboarding, let's say, we one of the first things we do is psychometric tests, and understanding. All right, well, you're this kind of person. and then asking them just directly, what do you want to do? That's one of the first questions. Is like, all right, you've come on as a digital marketing executive, like Rizal did a few years ago, and the first question I asked him is like, what do you want to do? Like, we're doing a lot of different stuff. Well, I am anyway. Do you like social media? Because we need like somebody to do social media. Do you want to learn a bit about SEO? Do you like link building? Do you like writing content? Once you know that, then you can delegate those tasks effectively. There's no good getting somebody to write an article if they don't like writing articles, because it's not going to be good. Yeah.
I love that. Do you have any processes in place for onboarding remotely?
Yeah, so for onboarding, well, remotely, which is the only style of onboarding we do, it's so I like I say, psychometric tests. I think it's got to be. I think the next one is setting, like, again, asking your new employee what they want to do, what their targets are in life, because that's another thing. It's like you need to get the work-life balance sorted out. So if somebody needs something flexible, then you need to make sure that work is flexible for them. But asking what their targets are, and for like training that's to do certain things that like the job like requires, it's actually necessary. One thing that I use is Loom. I don't know if you've heard of Loom. I've got like so many training videos on there now. I think it allows you 25 for the free version, which is a pretty extensive library of training videos, and it keeps you to 5 minutes as well, so it has to be quite concise. But then you're sending those out to employees about things that you need them to do, and it's quite collaborative because they can add comments at certain times on the video, and then you can respond to that, provide links to certain sources of information. Loom's a really good one. Training videos, I'd really recommend getting training videos and just putting the time into doing that. I know it's can be a bit of a pain, but I think really leaders need to set aside that time in order to get the most out of their employees.
Yeah, I think that's really awesome. I just wanted to move towards the themes of networking. So the events that you mentioned, as well as personal branding on LinkedIn, I thought was quite an interesting one. Can you tell us a little bit about the events that you do with your team?
Yeah, so we do a monthly webinar, which is it's quite broad, anything like digital marketing related. We usually try to keep it to digital analytics because that's kind of like our main thing. But as well as the monthly webinars, which we've been doing since we started last year to do bigger conferences. So that's we've done GA Forward, which was all about Google Analytics 4, GTM Forward, which is about Google Tag Manager, and we've just finished Privacy for Marketers because of all the new regulations that have been imposed, like Digital Markets Act and the bill for the UK, and the US's privacy regulations are changing really rapidly too. So that was the most recent one that we've done. But we tend to get around 1,500 to 2,000 signups for those. The monthly webinars, we tend to get a bit less, but it's they're on a monthly basis, so they're a bit different. They only have one speaker as opposed to the conferences, which it's like a full day of speakers. They take so much work, but I have had some nice feedback from people saying that they've enjoyed it. We do them for free on the day as well, so it's. I mean, we charge for the recordings after, but it's to help us cover the cost of running the event for free on the day, because they are so time consuming. I'm not sure if people who haven't done events understand that they are just so time consuming. But yeah,
we had our first one in June last year, in person, and I think we started planning it maybe a couple of months before, but yeah, I think the next time we do it, it's going to be at least over 6 months ahead, because it's just crazy. Like every second of every week is just taken up by something else going wrong or something else happening that you didn't plan for.
Yeah, there's so many moving parts to it.
And yeah, do you feel like there's a significant sort of benefit community-wise within doing this? And have you felt like the power of, I guess, knowledge sharing with us?
Yeah, so I mean, knowledge sharing is kind of the main ethos of MeasureMinds. So Phil, he's like a really talented analyst. He's the analytics director, and he just knows so much about Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager that it's kind of easy for him to share all this stuff, like so, because he just knows so much about it. A big thing for us is the knowledge sharing aspect, and our monthly webinars are free. We also publish the recordings for them for free as well. Our first conferences were for free. We've only just started charging for the recordings, so we're probably at quite a bit of a loss for those, to be honest. But it was about building that community as well, and I do feel that now we have got a few people that are quite invested into these events. So I mean, the events are great for lead gen, because of the sheer numbers. You tend to get a few big companies going to them, and they're kind of keen on getting an audit, or they see that you're good and they just want to get involved or something like that. But yeah, I've had a few people post on LinkedIn now saying, oh, I really like the events, they're really helpful, you should go and watch them, etc. And it's been so nice to see that finally. But yeah, the community is definitely beginning, I think, which I'm happy about.
Awesome. And can you tell us, I'm not sure if you guys have planned your next one, but do you know when your next one is going to be, or
the next event? So our next one is a monthly webinar, which is free, and that's on the 20th, so that's next Wednesday. Cool. I think. Let's just check my calendar. Next Wednesday at 3:00. Cool. UK time, and then the big conference after that is still to be decided. Awesome. To be honest, I don't even want to think about it right now, but yeah.
And then just to round up, I was quite inspired by the story of your digital marketing exec that was just chatting to you through LinkedIn. Do you consider sort of personal brand quite important, as well as, I guess, maybe side projects and sharing it online? How important do you consider a personal brand as an SEO and a digital marketer, especially on LinkedIn, in terms of connecting with others, networking with others, knowledge sharing? And do you have any tips for junior SEOs, I guess, that are watching as well?
Yeah, so personal branding, I think, is really important, and I think it's something that we're it's something that I think we could improve on. It's just the time it takes to work on your personal brand is quite a lot. But one reason why a personal brand is actually good for SEO is because of like EAT. So, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. Getting your brand out there and putting your name on stuff is really important, because then you have expertise in that, and you become an authority on that topic. So back in the day, I had an article that I had written. Somebody else put their name on it, and I was a bit miffed about it at the time, but I also understood it from an agency point of view, because they had more experience, etc. But when people write stuff for me, I tell them to put their, so Rizal, let's go back to the example of Rizal. Rizal puts his name on the stuff that he writes. And I think that's really important, because then it builds him. There's no point in just having two people at an agency that look like they write everything, because you want multiple people that look like experts in your agency. And it also means that when they go on to do, other things, that they've built themselves as a person, that they're not just stuck to the confines of what they've done for you. They've worked on themselves as well. I think that's really good for somebody's self-esteem and how they feel in, at your agency. Are they happy working there? So yeah, I think leaders need to allow people to build their own brand and put their name on things. And it might, you lose the having your name on the article, like the leader's name on the article for that article, but you're also building your team and making them look good. And I think that's just way more important. And also, somebody took the time to write that for you, and I think that they should have the credit. So I understand why some people do it. I've been in SEO and content for a while now, but I just don't think, I don't agree with it really. The one way to build up your EAT quite effectively is, I'm going to give a shout out to featured.com, which is, I don't know if you know Harrow. Help a reporter out.
Yes. Yeah.
So Harrow was like the OG, link, super white hat link building, where you give basically, somebody asks a question on the internet, loads of journalists are asking questions, you provide an answer, hopefully they feature in the article and provide a link back to you. You get the link, and now you also get like your bio along with it, saying Will Rice just talked about SEO, ways to improve your SEO, or etc., something like that, and then you build your authoritativeness in that topic. Featured.com, I've been using that one for a while now, and I'm a big fan of that platform. That is one way that like junior people could start to build their brand a little bit, by going there, answering a few questions. Also builds up your writing skills as well, answering a few questions and then getting something published in an article, saying that something about something, whether that be SEO, whether that be Google Ads or whatever. I think that's a really great way to do that. If you have like your own blog as well, as not all people entering into SEO have a blog, but if you do have your own blog, you'll get a link back to that blog and build that as well. You get a link back to your LinkedIn anyway. So I think that's that's it. Yeah, that's a really good way for people to start building a brand. There's also loads of people on LinkedIn that have far more experience than I do at building a LinkedIn brand. What I would say for building a LinkedIn brand is like, be kind to people and be sociable. There's so many people on LinkedIn that you know, you can just, well, for me, I can just ask a favor of, and they'll just go ahead and do it. You know, and it'll work vice versa. It's like, just help people out and just be nice to people. It will go a really long way. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm feeling so positive after after chatting to you now. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on and for all the advice, Will. Yeah, some great tips for team leads as well as SEO juniors in this webinar today. So yeah, thank you so much for your input, and definitely looking forward to seeing your webinars and your events that you guys are doing. And yeah, we'll upload this onto YouTube and Spotify, and also do a little write-up in our newsletter. So for anyone listening, catch Will there, and we'll pop through all your socials in there as well.
That sounds great. Well, hopefully, I mean, we've somehow done 36 minutes. It seems to have flown by, but like, hopefully I can be a bit more concise in my answers if we do it again sometime. But
definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great. Thank you so much, and have a lovely weekend, and we'll chat soon.
Yeah, you too. All right.
Cheers.
Catch you later.
Have a good one.
Bye.